Does your average day look something a little like this? You wake up to a blaring alarm clock that you begrudgingly flick off. You lay in bed for 5 minutes. You wake up, check your phone, scrolling through social media. You listen to the news while you're getting ready, or to the TV. You listen to the radio in the car, and then you go to your lovely job or to school, and you talk with the fellow people around you. You go home, play your video games, eat your junk food, watch television, go to sleep, repeat. If your day seems to be something a little like that, then unfortunately, chances are your mind is not your own. You have been controlled. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions have all been programmed for you to think that all of your opinions and everything that you do is of your own accord, when actually it's all being manipulated by a higher power, not the true good higher power, but a manipulative, controlling force that dominates us all. And all we have to do is wake up to it and start owning our own minds. This episode is on mind control and how you can reclaim your mind.
Free your mind.
So when I talk about mind control, you may be thinking about the typical wearing a skull cap and sitting in front of a hypnotic television show of spinning black and white circles of scary mind control. That is definitely a form of mind control, but what if I was to tell you that the actual mind control that goes on is all around us, basically at all times of every single day, and it is engaged and interacted with every person that we meet. It is exchanged between us all, because all of us in some form are under mind control. And this is not easy to hear, but it has to be addressed, because you have to reclaim your mind and your power. And only then, when we all come together and do that, then we can really become sovereign beings and change the world and actually manifest what we desire. So mind control actually isn't this stereotypical Hollywood version of, the MK Ultra kind of mind control. Once again, that definitely plays a role into this, but actually real mind control is very subtle. It's covert and it's omnipresent in everything that we do. It's in most of the movies, TV shows, definitely in the news, radio shows, frequencies. It plays a role in the food, in the water. Every little thing that we all take for granted and just think of just innocent and something that I choose of my own accord, most of them, if not almost all of them, have been infiltrated and are catered to keep you in a mind control, invisible prison. Because the aim is, whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not, the people that run this world want to control your mind so that you think your own thoughts, emotions, and actions are your own, but actually they are being manipulated to serve their agenda and to be a quiet, docile sheep. Only when you reclaim your mind can you really become the person that you really want to be. And so it doesn't have to be this MK Ultra version like I speak of. It doesn't even have to be the propaganda like we see in Nazi Germany of these posters or obey and your master. It can be that, but it's very subtle and it has many omnipresent ways. We have to recognize all of these, and it's not some schizophrenic conspiracy theory. It is observable, studyable, and it is 100% existent. But the good news is you can avoid it, and you can improve, and you can change. You can control your own mind instead of allowing someone else to control it for you. And so this mind control is being played out in every little thing that we engage in on a daily. Most importantly, in this day and age, social media, in news, in advertising, in the educational systems, in our beliefs and thought patterns, in the food and water, in the radionic frequencies that are pumped out of every Wi-Fi router, every antenna tower that exists. Some more powerful, some more subtle, but either way, they all play together to both individually and collectively target us, to keep us as docile and to keep us as quiet, unthinking little sheep that don't even nearly tap into the real potential of our power and our true mind's abilities. And so, other than this social media, news, advertising, mind control, it actually is built in the very foundations of the things that you were taught from the very beginning of when you were born. Most importantly, it's the mental prisons that society builds for us all. This is so pervasive because as we are programmable beings, we obviously have a influence by genes, but they are more like electrical switches that can be turned on and off through our environment. Moreover, our environment shapes who we really are. We are programmable species, and from the first 7 years of our life especially, we are almost completely programmable. So what our parents do upon us is very crucial, but most importantly, and this is insane, the education system. We all need to be educated, of course, but unfortunately, believe it or not, the education system has been hugely corrupted. It has been devastated compared to what it actually could be and what we really need to do to educate ourselves and our children. And so the educational model that we have, the outcome-based schooling system that we currently have basically all over the world, comes from both the Nazi Germany system, and it also comes from the Rockefellers. I won't be getting deeply into this episode because it's a whole study in of itself, but the matter of fact, truth is that the outcome-based system that we have in schooling is perfectly designed and catered to keep us in these little mental prisons and to keep us as perfectly obedient workers. It's designed to keep us narrow-focused, to instill what the government and what the certain companies and what certain big interests have to make us think. The way that the whole schooling system is set up is to keep us as obedient workers. It doesn't want critical thinkers. It doesn't want rational, logical philosophers. It wants people that sit down, shut up, keep your head down, don't think outside the box, only believe in and follow the syllabus that we provide for you. Listen for the bell, stand up, ask to get permission when you want to go to the toilet, things like that. The standardized testing in of itself is a memory test. It's not an actual test of intelligence. It's not a test of the real understanding of the information. It's how well can you remember it? How well are you able to take upon the information that we give you that most likely isn't actually completely true, take that in, go over it again and again and again until it is deeply ingrained in your brain, and then rattle it all off onto a piece of paper. That is what the testing system is, and it is nonsense compared to what we actually need to do if we want to be properly tested. The comparison between high schools especially and prisons is phenomenal. In America, look at the school buses compared to the prison buses. Look at the fences that are around them. All it's missing is some barbed wire, and then it's basically a prison. Look at the food, the sad excuse that they call school food compared to what real nutrition is not only for adults, but for children. The disgusting slop that 9 times out of 10 school kids are given, and that it's crucial in those years, and instead they're giving them crap that's not feeding their brain at all, in smaller portions than they need, and it's literally a prison. It is training the kids to grow up and be obedient, to respect authority, when, if you haven't already gathered, authority is not exactly something to be living up to, worshipping. It's punishment if you stand out of line. It's believe only what we say on the approved syllabus, which I won't get into examples, but look into it for yourself and you compare it to what actually went on and the things that they've hidden from us. There is a vast difference. It's not actually teaching us what the truth is, it's teaching us what they want us to believe. It's sit in the rows, in your little individual chairs, have your tiny little designated break time where you can't really do much of anything these days because rules permit actual proper playtime. the revisionism in history, the because I said so dynamic of, if you ask the teacher any questions, if you look at real high school teachers, chances are they're just as fractured as the parents of these children. They aren't real, true, strong, knowledgeable beings that should be teaching, especially young children. They are just as fractured as their parents, and it is crucial because it's just another daycare system. The amount of the thousands and thousands of hours that kids spent in the schooling system, it's just a way to get the kids out of the way so the parents have to go to work. And especially in this day and age, both parents have to work, even then, just to be living paycheck to paycheck. It's just a way to take in all of the children and for the government to look after them themselves. I won't go any further into this topic because we could go forever, but ultimately it's where it all begins. The first 7 years of a child's life, when they are still put into a schooling system, that is what is known as the hypnagogic state. When the first 7 years of their life, they are almost in a hypnotic trance of, yes, they can interact with things, but they are basically very unable to discern much of anything. They just take everything in, and most stuff in that time is reflected in their later life because it's taken all in and they don't have the ability to discern for themselves what is right, what is wrong, what's really going on. So especially not only if you have problems at home with like abuse, trauma, things like that, you also go into school and it's the perfect template of sit down, shut up, listen to what we say, believe what we say, don't question anything. You need our permission to do anything. The rules are because we say so. They're not actually based on rational, natural law rules. Take all of that in and it will perfectly set you up for a lifetime of servitude. That is the beginning of the slave, the perfect slave. Especially nowadays when you're putting more and more different things into the schooling system. I won't go into examples because a lot of them are very controversial, but certain book readings, certain advertising campaigns that go into schools and advertise to children, all it takes is someone having enough money, pay the school off, and then they can go in and advertise to children. It's obviously a generalisation here, but it's crucial. This is the very important stage because what happens in the childhood will reflect for the rest of their life. And of course, we can work on all of that. That is the good news. It's not set in stone, but it's going to have knock-on consequences in your future life. And so beyond this, in the schooling system, that is the beginning of the mind control that goes on. Next, we have the 24/7 ritual of mind control. Media, entertainment, social media, and modern technology as a whole. I'm not for a second going to tell you that technology is bad. I'm not going to be one of these people that just says, oh, be careful of AI and don't go on the computers. They're the devil. It's a tool. It's a neutral tool. I am here now because of technology. It is beautiful in what it can create, but it can be created for the worst. And unfortunately, in the overarching sense, the media that we have nowadays in all of its forms, the news that people still believe as the truth, the news, social media, I'll have to make a whole episode on it itself, but TikTok especially, it's devastating the brains of people, absolutely devastating them, especially the children, the iPad kids. It's horrendous, and we are only just starting to see these people that are at this age that are being raised on this stuff. They are going to grow up and it's going to be horrendous. Their attention spans in the gutter, their belief systems in the gutter, the stuff that they've been told, constantly conflicting information, adverts. It's easy to mind control these people through social media, especially in these days. But most importantly, and the classic form of this is in the news. If you are still believing in 2025 that the news and the people on there have your best intentions in mind and they're just doing their best to research what's going on in the world and tell you about what's going on, hopefully through the whole COVID nonsense, you saw that They lie, they misrepresent, they focus on only certain things. People that are old enough will see 9/11 showed this perfectly. They didn't even mention Building 7, and when things like that go down where there's a real hole in the agenda, they sweep it under the rug, and I can guarantee you those people at the news stations, powers from above will tell them, don't air these certain things, don't mention these certain words, or your family are going to be missing under suspicious circumstances. Guaranteed, that's how it goes down. Hopefully, like I say, many of you don't trust the news anymore, but just look into the BBC in the UK. I mean, it is rampant with paedophiles. It's up there with the Vatican that we discussed a few weeks ago. It's rampant. And it's because these people they're not good people. They do not have your best intentions in mind. They simply want to put their agenda in front of you, and 9.9 out of 10 mainstream news, if not 10 mainstream news channels these days are perfectly designed and just only serving the pure agenda of putting out there what the government wants you to believe. And if you have the stomach for it, go on any news channel any time of the day and see how long you can sit there and watch it and look at it through the lens of, okay, what are they telling me? Positive or negative things? Beneficial or trivial? It is constant. Fear, fear, fear. A tsunami. Murder. Rape. War. Poverty. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying they should sit down and go, hey, the world's amazing. Because trust me, if there's a big natural disaster, for example, we want to know about it. We do want to see what's going on, both good and bad. But if you are to watch the news for any period of time, you could almost put a tally chart of how many things are positive, how many are negative, how many are fear-based, how many are actually unbiased, how many are basically just either a sponsorship or a drug-pushing cover story. The new weight loss jabs, things like that. You think that they're being just honest and just trying to put something out in front of you. It always has a spin. It always has an agenda. If you really have the critical mind for it, compare all of the different news stations with different stories and just look at the different wording that they use. Look at the colours of the studios that are perfectly designed to make you in the trustworthy state of sitting back and trustworthy with the lovely talking heads with their nice voices and their lovely suit and ties and, hey, welcome everybody and listen to us. It's hypnotic. If you listen to the frequencies of their voices, especially, if I ever these days, I just, as like almost a hobby, every day I surf briefly through the mainstream news channels in the morning just to see what nonsense they're pushing out there. And I have to mute it at this point because the when you really get in tune with it, it's like parasitic. You can hear the frequencies of their voices are just, I can't even replicate it. It's just low. If you're sensitive to that stuff, especially, you can just feel it. It's just pulling you down into just, this is not good, sadness, fear, terror. It's just constant fear, fear, fear. And as we've already discussed, but as you'll really, really see in the future, the worst thing of all for our minds and our consciousness, and the key to mind control and manipulation, is fear. We don't have to eradicate fear from ourselves because that's almost impossible, but it's about acting in spite of it, and it's about being acknowledging of it. Fear is constantly pushed through all of these mainstream medias, news medias especially. It's constant fear. It's worry. It's only focusing on the bad. Constant. And hey, it's not always positive in the stuff I speak about here, but it's the truth. It's the fact. It's the unbiased matter. These people are not unbiased. They are anything but. And hopefully in this day and age, if you've got somewhat of a rational mind, you can see that for yourself. And I won't even go into this because it's way too long, but the subliminal messaging alone and the frequencies, like I speak of the way, the tones that they speak in, it's all subliminal. The way that they colour scheme things and colour grade it. The different symbols that they put, the way that they flash certain news like symbols. you might just, shrug it off as just, oh, it's just nonsense. But it's all working on the subconscious, and mind control is key in terms of subconscious programming and subliminal programming. And this is in movies, it's in music, especially in this day and age. I mean, the music that's in the charts these days, good Lord. I'm not some boomer going, oh, the music these days, these kids, because I'm still young. So I can see it from both minds. But oh my days, the music that is currently in the charts, oh boy, talk about subliminal nonsense. I mean, Christ, it's like, it's literally on paper a frequency to dumb you down and slow you down and put you into a submissive, passive mindset. And then that's without even considering most songs talking about, oh, she the devil and things like that. They're putting it in our face now of, we worship. We don't even worship. They become the satanic force. They adore the idea of Satan, not the big horned being, but the overrun ego and the inversion principle, which we'll discuss on a future episode. The point is, the news, television, movies, music, all of them play a huge part in controlling us all. And when I mention these, I'm only talking about the mainstream stuff, the stuff that you will see pumped out at all times. And you want to talk about a satanic ritual, these are those. They don't have to be hooded people in the woods and people sacrificing goats. It is literally something that just serves the agenda of control and keeping people in fear and allowing a knowledge differential and a control from one people to another. These are the endless satanic rituals, and I'll have probably a whole presentation on the fact that all of society is one big satanic ritual. Not because it must or it has to be, it's because it's being catered to be that way, and we must break out of that before it's too late. The point is, this is 24/7. There's always at least one channel that has the news on, and it's constant being beamed out in the radio frequency waves of fear, terror, constant, all the time. And people still believe it. You could go out and do a social experiment and ask people how many people think that the newscasters and the journalists have our best intentions in mind. They're just doing the best that they can to try and teach people what's really going on. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's horrible, and it's destroying our minds, especially because they show this to people and then they go out and then think that is what they've been told is their own thoughts and their own opinions, and then you ask them to justify it and rationalize it. Crickets. Because this is the key to mind control, is people thinking that their opinions are their own, and it's not. It's been subconsciously inserted into them, or consciously inserted to them, either way, but it all plays a role, and it is crucial, because what creates this reality is the actions of people and their thoughts, because the all is mind, and once you get to people's minds, the rest is done. It's cake. And so, not only do those things play a role, but social media nowadays it's a bad scene. It's, if you go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even Twitter, X, whatever, it's a mud pit, it's a cesspit, a dirty, algae, bacteria-infested sludge pit of just nonsense, of keyboard warriors, of mind-controlled jokesters, of bots, especially on things like Facebook and Instagram. And I knock these things, and I'm still on them, of course, because unfortunately that's where the masses of people are. We have to reach them where they are at. But what I try and do is catch them there like fish, and then pull them in and show them, hey, you can get out of here. Instead of pulling them out of the water like a fish and then beating them and eating them, instead you've got to stick that lure into the place where people are, pull them out, and then show them, hey, there's a truth in this outside world above the water. Because these social medias, once again, they're tools. They could be incredible. It's simply just a reflection of the mind of people. And unfortunately, in this day and age, hugely, it's just brain rot nonsense. and it's getting worse and worse this day and age. That's why the term brain rot has even been invented, because it's so rampant. And I see this all the time. I'm still young. I see it perfectly. It's whatever makes people's attention spans shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, 5 years ago, the idea of watching something and being so unable to focus on it that you have to have a Subway Surfers video or a Family Guy clip below something for you to focus on this 20-second clip, it's insane. And this is only the beginning of where it's going. People's attention spans are going to be minute. I mean, it's already like a 3-second window of people's attention before they swipe, or before they click onto something else, or before they have to focus on something else. Autism and ADHD play into it as well. And for another episode, of course, but these things are not only created by these social medias, for example, but also because of a certain thing that is injected into people's arms in insanely high doses when they are babies, that contain insane amounts of adjuvants and byproducts and heavy metals into these certain injectables without choice. Basically, it's taken once again into common sense, mind controlled, of course, but it's the autism and ADHD epidemic, you could almost call it, is just getting worse and worse and worse, and society breeds that now, and we are only seeing it begin. It's bad enough as it is with all the iPad kids, but it's going to devastate us. It's just another form of mind control. It's just another way to keep people docile, keep them zombies like that constantly. And it's what the Black Mirror is. That's what that great TV show was referring to. It's this fondle slab that you sit, scroll. Why do you think it's called TikTok? Because that's what the clock is doing while you swipe and swipe for hours on end. The phone is not a creation device, it is a consumption tool. That is it. If you want to create, you've got to get a laptop at the very least, but a computer, quite honestly. And I hate to be Mr. Conspiracy, but these social media apps are more and more perfectly catered and perfectly curated to capture our dopamine receptors and to capture the very parts of our minds and psychology that keep us, that are our raw, natural and brain chemicals. They are perfectly designed to keep us stuck in search, so that you could sit there for hours and hours and hours. Just look at the average screen time for anyone under 20, let alone everyone in the world these days. It's phenomenal. Like half of their entire day is sat staring at the fondle slab, consuming. That's all it's all about. Once again, from childhood, be consumers, obey, sit down, shut up, don't do anything for yourself. That's what it's all about. Not to even mention the data harvesting, the things like the whole rabbit hole of going from 440 hertz to 432 hertz in music and things like that. FOMO, things like that. They are pure evolutionary drives and receptors. They are perfectly focused on and catered for, because there are whole institutions that are purely focused and paid for making these things as addictive as possible and ultimately as detrimental as possible to keep us consumers and buyers. And it's intentional. It's not some wacko conspiracy theory. It's almost common sense these days, thankfully, but people don't care. They're just like an addict, and they may know that heroin's bad for them, but they still do it anyway because it's so powerful. And we must break out of this cage. We also have things like EMF and 5G, once again for another episode, because it's a whole rabbit hole. It's not some big spooky conspiracy, and I'm not going to start saying that COVID was caused by 5G, but these frequencies aren't just innocent, non-ionizing, non-radioactive things that are just pumped out just so that you can get a bit of a faster internet speed. That may serve part of the purpose, but mostly they are horrendously harming ourselves, our minds, and the world itself. Just do the rabbit hole research of 5G yourself without looking into all of the mainstream articles on it, because we know how unbiased they are. They all play a part, and every single thing that can be infiltrated and used to manipulate us is. And everything that isn't, watch out, because it's going to be. That's because these people that do this are control freaks. They are in this reptilian brain that we spoke about. All they care about is me, and screw everyone else. It's control, it's ritual, it's I have to do it, and it will keep them up at night if there's something that they do not control. And by God, they will control that thing that they don't, because they have infinite money, they have infinite power, and it's just a matter of time before there's nothing left for them to control. And then they come for the final thing, and that is our soul. That's what this is all about. They want your soul, and they want your whole being. They already have your compliance, they already have your belief systems, they already have your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Then finally they are coming for you. That's when we get into things like transhumanism, things like that. And so I'll briefly just mention over this so it doesn't take too long, but trauma is rampant. Not like monarch, mind control, MK Ultra type trauma. That is definitely into a role, but that's a whole different episode of the way that you can really fracture people's minds and create these altars that you might have heard of, where people have different fractured parts of their minds that can be triggered and tapped into, that makes them a complete different person. Because when you are traumatized in a big event, your mind creates an amnesic barrier where the event is basically blocked out so that you don't keep reliving it, but then it still plays a role into your mind. And if this is worked on intentionally, and this is what MK Ultra was about, it was trying to crack down on those techniques. It wasn't the be all and end all of mind control. It was just the most common sense, the most widely known version of them putting it into action. It was just their studies of doing it. But what they were trying to do is perfectly use these things like frequencies and certain speech patterns and symbols to perfectly get our minds into fractured states. Obviously more larger examples like the whole Manchurian Candidate of creating mind-controlled assassins and things like that. But on the lower level with us, certain things are used to fracture our minds and to keep us traumatized so that we aren't a complete whole being. We're like a shattered piece of glass in our brains. There's just different pieces, and if someone's done that purposely, they can pick up those pieces and control them like the puppet on the string. That is what's going on. And this is only a very brief touch over of all of this because there's so much to talk about, but it's fact nonetheless. It's just, there's so much that plays into it. It's insane. But once again, this is key, not only in what we see in social media, things like that, like I've spoke of, but once again, the first 7 years of a child's life, if there are problems at home, and you'll be surprised how tiny things, even when they're in the womb, can detriment a child's mind and their life. Once again, it's all changeable. We are programmable, so we can change it, mostly at least. But if you're going to change the cards that someone's dealt with, that's what's going to do it. And only when someone consciously confronts it, then they can change it. But 9 out of 10 people won't consciously confront the trauma that they have. And it will take years and years. And no, the way to solve this trauma, unless it's really severe, isn't therapy. It can help, but once again, that's the mainstream version. It's not going to do very much. It will only mean that you're going to have to constantly go again and again and again and relive it and things like that. And most certainly, it is not the pharmaceuticals. Unless it's really extreme, and even then they should be temporary. They are the zombie drugs, the SSRIs, the Prozac, things like that. They are only, at best, temporary fixes, but they will not fix anything. It's all symptom based. That is what the scientific industry is all about. And that's unfortunate, and it doesn't have to be that way. And it's perfectly designed that way. That's what's government funded, because that's what keeps people docile. Look at anyone that's on these SSRIs. They may be super happy in La La Land, but they can't properly create anything that's right. They can't actually truly think for themselves. They may think that they can. That's the key to mind control. You can't have someone know that they're controlled. It's all about the subconscious. It's the willing slave. The least free are the ones that think that they're free, to paraphrase. And this trauma is rampant, not only in the external, but every family, every child, every person that you may encounter. Just ask them, have you got a previous trauma? They will tell you that they do. And those are the things that they know about, let alone the things that they have been blocked out from their brain. Most people have parental abandonment in any form, and that is crucial. Might have to be a whole episode on that, because the parental abandonment is terrible for someone's mind. And this is solved by the political system. Did your mother not care for you in some aspect, either physically, emotionally, or mentally, spiritually, whatever, or a combination of some of them? Did your mother not do that? Or did your father? Were they abandoning in any form, not just literally not there? If they were, well, guess what? You're going to end up leaning to Big Mummy in the left, in the Democratic, or you're going to be leaning to Big Daddy in the right, the protector or the provider. Pick one. That's why there's always going to be two parties. There are the little fringe extra parties, but they're only there to distract the people that have somewhat of a rational mind, that they realise that the two parties are nonsense. It's designed perfectly two ways. It's two wings on the same bird. It's two arms on the same body. That is what politics is. And yet, it's perfectly designed to have these two, because it will reflect in your parental abandonment. And even in our genetic makeup, we have abandonment through our ancient origins of perhaps beings that came down, created us, and interfered with our natural evolution. Then they abandoned us. So that's in our deep genetic makeup, but that's a real big rabbit hole. So that's for another time. The point is, trauma in any form, they all come together, and it's just more and more and more detriment. It's more and more hammers to the big glass pane in our brains. It's more and more smashing into fragments. And for as long as that glass isn't won, it's shattered, and we aren't going to be acting rightly. We aren't going to be acting sovereign like we should. There is trauma-based mind control. Like I spoke about, there's the whole MK Ultra thing. That is one part, but that's just for certain places. That's not, you're not just going to find Bob down the road and he's been monarch mind controlled in some government lab where they're, tweaking him down. That happens. Trust me, it does. And do your research on that, because it 100% happens. But that's not the main type. It's a lower form of where there's either horizontal trauma of, bullying that almost everyone faces in school in some form. There's certain competitions, identity confusion that we see rampant now. I'm not even going to get into it. It'll be way too long, but, the over-sexualization, especially of children in this day and age, it's horrifying, the people. All different dysfunctions that you see in your family, because it's all our models. If your parents are fractured in some sense, and chances are they're going to be in some way, unless you're very fortunate, those parents, if they're fractured in whatever way, and especially if both of them are, and especially if they aren't present, whatever, that perfectly is going to reflect on the child, and then the cycle repeats. That's how the control system works. Have a controlled parent, a mind-controlled parent, their child will be mind-controlled because they treat their child how they were treated as a parent by their parents, down and down and down. The ladder repeats and repeats and repeats of control, 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 control. You'll see in people that beat their children, chances are, almost definitely, they were beat by their parents. And it goes and goes and goes. That's how the cycle perpetuates, and that's how the rat race continues. Because unless you become conscious of this information, like I'm trying to help you do, unless you become conscious of it and you break the chain, it will not break. It will keep going and going and going. And getting worse, ultimately, especially as things get more and more tightly controlled and perverted. So your job is to break that chain and become the black sheep, like I speak about. Then you also have vertical trauma, other than horizontal, where you have the actual full institutions, schooling, religion, all the institutions of, advertisements, government, just another religion. You have the medical trauma of all of the different pharmaceuticals and things like that. You'll find more than the huge majority of people these days are on some sort of medication or some form of something, or they should be at least, or not should be, but they would be eligible for it. The legal system, the economic system of everyone's, most people are just living paycheck to paycheck, or they're just above water where they can afford to live, but they can't, they're 1 or 2 months away from just being on the street. That's perfect fear it's perfectly designed to keep you not, in too much poverty where you don't have enough to do what you need. It's that middle class mentality of where you just have enough, where you're comfortable. And other than fear, comfort is the destroyer of progress. People just seek comfort, they just seek money, and they just seek ego satisfaction. These are all the symptoms of this mind control. And when you break that and only start seeking what's correct and right, only then will you be able to break the mind control, break the chain, and become your holistic, whole, sovereign self. These all interchange and all come together. They doesn't have to be individual. They all come together. And our job is to look within and recognize them and fix them, because that's once again the good news. You can fix all of it. It's all just based on your own ability. Epigenetics, it's all a decision away. It's a habit away. You can change all of this. You can program yourself properly instead of having someone else program you. You can be the puppet master of your own brain instead of having some other person, knowingly or not, that is controlling you. I spoke about this in a past episode, that the brain imbalance is key. Not only does it reflect in our political beliefs, but it just reflects in everything that we do, in your worldview especially. Scientific worship on the left, atheism, nihilism, moral relativism, eugenics, totalitarian and authoritarianism. These are all the left brain traits, the overly intellectual, the masculine. You're in this left brain dominance, those are the worldview imbalances you're going to have. You go on the right, on the more intuitive, feminine side. If that's imbalanced, you're going to have religious dogma. You're going to have the new age person. You're going to have the extremist, perhaps. Blind belief, naivety, gullibility. You're going to be solipsistic, where you think that truth doesn't exist or that only my mind exists. Self-loathing, which is a huge mind control tactic and technique. Order following, and slave think. I'm just brushing past all of these because I've still got a few more points to get onto, but if you're on either of these sides, these are the worldviews that are going to reflect, and unless, once again, you bring them together, only then can we heal the mind control and become truly human and become one, and stop the mind control that has guaranteed to be putting your mind in a cage. So other than that, the different worldviews, because this is what it's all about, is healing your worldview, because they want to change your worldview, and the schooling and all these things that I've mentioned do that. Your worldview is crucial because how you see the world is going to perfectly lead to what you do and what you focus on and what you work for. And unless your motivations are your own, where you recognize that you have a purpose here and you work for that, if you're not doing that, almost by default, you're going to be serving the agenda of selfish, of making my boss money, making no real progress in the world. So once again, on the left here, you have the randomness worldview. Everything's meaningless. It's all random. There's no, meaning to it. There's no moral or spiritual laws. It's all just up in the air and whatever I think of it. There's no life beyond death. There's no purpose to all of this. It's just randomness, and it's all just pleasure and survival. It's that reptilian brain once again. You may have scientific worship or overly intellectual, atheistic, authoritarian ways of seeing things, or on the deterministic worldview, when you're in the right imbalance. Everything's already written, man. Just sit back and it's predestined. It's all destined to happen. God does it all. He's just sitting there watching, and he's going to provide it to me, everything that I need. I don't need to do anything. Free will is illusory, and we'll have a whole episode on free will because it's crucial, and yes, it does exist, as much as people still don't think it does. Don't even get me started. It's the belief in the right brain, once again, that we are all powerless. Action is pointless. Just believe, just have faith. You're going to have the radical religionist, you're going to have the submissive, naive, gullible, new age fairy in this mindset. And shocker, the truth, once again, when you combine all of these things into the real holistic oneness, you get the unity. You get the free will aspect, which is the random aspect that does. So there is a truth to this right and left imbalance. There is a randomness and there is a deterministic. That is the answer between the age-old question: do we have free will? Is it all determined? It's both. Shocker. Combination. Once again, we have the free will, which is the randomness aspect, because you can't exactly predict that unless you are mind controlled. But on paper, you can't exactly predict it because it's free will. It's what we choose to do, and that's the beauty of it. That's the gift of the creator. We have that randomness aspect, and then there is a deterministic aspect, which is the rules and laws of creation, which is natural law. The laws that govern the universe, that are unchangeable, universal, unchangeable. Free will, natural law. Once they come together, we have the randomness and deterministic aspects. They combine, and then only can we truly act rightly and truly act as one within and act in a non-mind control capacity. And so just to put this left brain, put the nail in the coffin of this left brain and right brain imbalance, Darwinism, all that matters is matter, that it's all just evolution, it's all just beings, and we're here to reproduce and look for our reptilian aspects of me, myself and I, and maybe my friends and family. What do I feel like doing today? What junk food can I eat? What sex can I get? It's either that, or you're in the creationist aspect on the right brain of it's all spirit, it's all just God's will, and only the spirit is what matters, and screw all the matter. Matter is inferior. It's the dialectic, once again, and this reflects in the politics like we've seen. That's why there's always two, the blue and the red. It's perfectly designed that way. It's catering into our natural instincts. That is being hijacked because the people that are controlling the world ultimately are deep psychologists, occult psychologists, but psychologists nonetheless, and they perfectly know how the mind works, and they are using that to disadvantage you, and they're using it once again as the power differential that exists. And until we learn all of this and level the playing field, they're going to have more knowledge than us. They can control us. Simple as that. We have to not get stuck in any of these two. As much as you might want to think that you've come out of to that conclusion of your own accord, sorry, but you're in an imbalance. It's been controlled into you. You have to, once again, combine. There's an aspect of truth to both of them, and you have to put them together. Natural law and free will combined. And so finally, so this doesn't go on for too long, I will, if you've already gathered, hopefully, I'll put this all together. I'll have to probably make more episodes in the future of all these different mind control techniques, because there are so many of them. But ultimately, the key, the path to this mental freedom, to freeing ourselves from the mind control that is rampant in all of the frequencies, in the junk food that people laughingly call food these days, the terrible television shows, movies, music, social media algorithms, those and much, much more, just even the traditions that we all follow, the religions that we follow, the things that we take as common sense but actually are just superstitions or mind-controlled beliefs that have been passed down through generations, purposefully. All of these things and more are perfectly in a combination, and many, many more things, all combined to crank down on controlling us so that we think we are free, when actually we, unfortunately, are just being manipulated through a knowledge differential and through our docility of you don't have enough energy and you don't have enough true drive and willpower and fire of the soul to step out and say, screw fear, I'm going to act in love, I'm going to act in righteousness, I'm going to do the right thing, I'm going to act because what I know is correct. And so all of this mind control that is rampant, can be broken. If you haven't already gathered, The solution to do that is become this holistic human, like I speak about. Understand the free will, understand the deterministic natural law aspects, all that I've spoken about already in previous episodes and in future ones. Combine those. Do your very best to employ the different techniques that I speak of to combine the left and right brain, bring them together. Constantly try and analyze the thought processes that you have. Do some shadow work, do some introspection, do some meditative practices. Employ many of these different techniques that I speak about in other episodes and try your very best to be honest to yourself. And as you'll see in one of the next episodes, the path of initiation is what you need to follow. Not some weird hazing ritual initiation, but I'm talking about the occult mystery school esoteric initiation. You've got to stop lying to yourself. You've got to stop dreaming. You've got to activate the physical body. You've got to learn how to think, learn how to act rightly. These sorts of things where you truly are starting to work towards becoming someone who's logically really thinking for yourself and eradicating and removing all of the nonsensical programming that's been put into your mind, whether you know it or not. Because once again, the problem is with this mind control and this control system is that people think that they're free. And that is the person that is no more hopelessly enslaved. It is the person that thinks they are truly free and will defend their enslavers. And that is what we have these days. The people that will hear this information and either shut it off after 3 minutes or will defend or call me a conspiracy theorist. They'll say, no, it's just a load of connecting dots that doesn't actually exist, or trying to see patterns. If you really do your research, and this might take years, it takes a while. If you really do your research and connect the dots and look as unbiasedly as you can, you will see as well for yourself. This exists. The mind control system exists. There are people out there that are running this world that do not have your best intentions in mind. They do not care about you. The only part of you that they care about is the part that says, yes, sir, I will follow your orders. I'll do what you want. I'll look down. I won't question anything. I'll go to my job, do my part, go home, distract myself, and then the cycle repeats round and round and round and round and round until you break free from that cycle. You break out of the matrix, as much as it's become a cliche. When you break free, only then can you become the holistic human, when you start combining these aspects and doing the internal shadow work to think what side of the spectrum of the left and right brain are you more on, or both. And you start combining. Only then can you start becoming a holistic human, and then you can heal your mind control. When you do that, wonderful things await you, and you will be really on the path to being able to manifest what you desire, to really see the world as you deserve to see it. This must be done, and when you come further down the path, hopefully you can start teaching this information to others, because I can't do this alone. I need you to help your fellow man understand this, because the mind control is rampant. It's insane. Go and watch The Matrix again and you'll see Morpheus telling Neo, everyone that's walking around just down the street thinking that they're living their own lives, they are living an illusion. It's all control, and it's perfectly designed over centuries to keep you as a willing slave on just the big global plantation. And until you become this holistic human, this black sheep, and you break free, then you can change and you can become the person that you must and deserve to be. You can do anything. But first, you have to break free from your mind control. I'll do my very best to help you do this, but I can only show you the door. You are the one who has to open it. I hope you've appreciated this information. As from here on out, it's going deeper and deeper and more complex. That's why I have to sort of rush through a load of these things. It can get quite, follow me through here, because all that I speak of is backed by years of research, and I'll try and do my best to present that to you in the future, instead of just trying to whet the appetite with all these different points. But the point is, I really hope you can hear the truth in this. And more than anything, it would be great if you could share this with other people, because this information isn't just for a few of us, it's for everyone. This information has to go as far and wide as possible. As I always say, if you've made it this far in this video, you truly are a chosen one. You are destined to do incredible things. You're incredible. If you can listen to an hour of this alone, let alone the rest of my videos, you are well on the way to becoming a true master. Someone who can change the world. And whether you want to or not, you can leave a legacy. You can fulfill the purpose and mission that you were incarnated here to do. Make God happy, whatever you see that force as. Share this with other people, please, and do your part. Leave a like, it really helps. Comment the different mind control aspects that I may not have mentioned, and parts, the ways that you might have been mind controlled and that you've thankfully broken out of. Maybe leave a comment of gratitude and appreciation. Leave a like, share, subscribe, all of that wonderful things so that we can change the world together. I really hope you've appreciated this information, and this is only the beginning of the deeper and deeper information that will help you become your greatest version and allow you to become a holistic, moral master. You can change the world, you can do anything you like, but it has to be moral. Thank you for listening. This has been Morality Matters. Once again, there is only one rule: do no harm, no masters, no slaves. We can change the world. It starts with breaking your mind control. I'll see you next time.